Hey, thanks for coming back to the channel. I want to talk a minute about, well, it's going to be more than a minute, but it's about how to prepare for a hurricane. Now, a hurricane is one of nature's great natural disasters if it hits you. If it hits you at a category 5, and I've been in 2 of those, I do not recommend it. I wasn't intentionally there, but it happened, and I ended up having to get out of the area quickly, which I did. But in Florida right now, it's going to take a direct hit in Central Florida, coming up through Tampa, across Orlando, the land of the rat. I hate Orlando because of that. But all those people are going to be hammered. Anyone who has not evacuated by now had better figure out how to bug in and shelter in place, because the roads are going to be not passable. The winds will make it not passable. You will not be able to evacuate once once the eye of the hurricane gets close. Now, let me tell you about the eye of the hurricane. For those you don't know, the eye is that calm center part in the center. Some videos and photos, you can see this little hole in the middle of all the clouds. That's the eye. It is the calmest part. The diameter, and this is what you need to pay attention to, the diameter of the eye is, for the one that's coming now, is about 3 miles. That's a big hole, right? 3 miles. Well, how fast does 3 miles go? Well, the storm front moving across the ground moves across the ground between 15 and 20 miles an hour as a front moves like that. Sometimes a hurricane will stall. The eye movement will stall. But for the most part, if you look at the hurricane tracking maps, it tells you pretty much where the eye is going to be over the next day or two. So you can tell where the hurricane is going to be. First thing, the eye is 3 miles, which means it's going to be calm only for about 10 minutes. And then it's going to be a ruckus again. And then a wall is going to hit. And when the wall hits, both coming, it's going to hit you twice. It's going to hit you coming, and it's going to hit you going. So just because it calms down doesn't mean that you get to come out of your shelter, right? If you have managed to get away, good. Now let me tell you how far away you have to go. A Cat 5 hurricane of that size covers pretty much the state of Florida. The weather system, the spinning of the weather system in the upper right-hand corner, if that hits ocean on the eastern side on the Atlantic side, you're going to have storm surge up the yin-yang, because it's going to suck, as it spins, it's going to suck that surf 5-6 feet higher than normal high tide. So it's going to flood you, and it's going to be heavy rain. You do not want to be in the upper right-hand corner. If that's where you live, go the other way. If the hurricane's coming this way, you go the other way. And you have to do that before it reaches, before the outer bands start to reach. Otherwise, you are going to be trapped. Now, how much time? From the leading edge outer band of weather to the final outer band of weather takes about 3 days. From the time it hits you, the outside hits you, until the time it's passed, is about 3 days. But you're not done yet, because now you have to wait for the earth, meaning the water, to subside. You have to wait another couple days, just in case somebody's coming. That's not necessarily the case, but just in case somebody's coming, you have to wait another 3 days. So that's 5 or 6 days you need to be hunkered down. That's 5 or 6 days of preps. No matter how you did it, you need to have 5 or 6 days minimum of preps for each person in your team, in your group. 5 or 6 days, wherever you're going to be, whether it's in a hotel, whether it's in a high school gym, whether it's in your auntie's house, wherever. 5 days. Now, it takes, even though FEMA and some others are staging, because that's what they do, they stage assets, it's still going to take them a couple days. They are not going to jump in the middle of a hurricane either. So you're on your own for 3 to 5 days. You listen to me. You are on your own. On your own. Period. There's no ATMs. There's no Wi-Fi. There's no gas. There's no water. You're on your, and you can't leave where you are because there's no roads. You can't. The roads aren't there. So your preps have to be 5 days or more per person. Let's talk about water for a minute. Do you know how much water you waste when you flush a toilet just because you peed in the toilet? Think about that a minute, right? This is water. The second most important thing you need to have. The first important thing is shelter. Not water, not food. Shelter. You need to protect yourself from the elements. That's job 1. Job 2 is water. Job 3 is food. But every time you flush a toilet, for most toilets, it's a gallon. That's a lot of water to be pissing away, literally. So what should you do? Use a bucket. Don't flush the toilet. The water is for drinking. Not after you peed in it, though. But the water is for drinking. If the water's out, it's for drinking. Get yourself some chlorine and put it in there in your drinking water and get a filter or something. You know, they don't cost that much. Life Straw, whatever. There's several of them out there. Life Straw and those other guys and a little bit of chlorine and you got yourself ready to go. Stop in a disaster. Stop flushing the toilet. Think about how many gallons of water you need to have it just to drink and do personal hygiene. Flushing the toilet is not personal hygiene, by the way. Wiping your butt is personal hygiene. Okay, I digress. So let's come back to how much time you need. Hurricane, 5 days minimum of preps per person, right? Do not think you are going to evacuate once the outer band starts to hit. And that's usually light rain, but once the outer band starts to hit, you ain't going anywhere because things are going to flood. They're going to flood fast and you're going to be stuck. When I was in Florida, when Jeb Bush was governor, and a hurricane like this, I think it was George, I don't remember exactly, but it hit Miami, Fort Lauderdale, and they knew 5 days out it was going to hit, direct hit with the eye, Fort Lauderdale, Miami. And all those rich people that decided they would get those condos, man, and retire from New York, guess what they had to do? Or they were told to do? They were told to evacuate by the governor's law. And I went, what brain dead person came up with that? If you look at Florida, it's a long, narrow peninsula is what it is. And the hurricane was going to do what it does now. It's going to fill the peninsula. The interstates go north and south. Guess what the hurricane was going to do? Go north and south. It was impossible to outrun the hurricane. And guess what happened? You had millions of people stuck in their cars for 3 days. Look it up. Almost no food or water. They couldn't get any air support because it's a hurricane. And they were stuck in their cars on the interstate. Even though they told, they made all the lanes northbound on the interstate and the turnpike. All lanes were northbound. So it didn't matter. They could not move that many people in that short a period of time, which is why when you hear the evacuation word, when you hear the E word, you need to have a place to go. You need to have a place to go, right? Now, I know it's a bitch trying to pay hotel fees these days. But if you don't have it, then you got to practice being homeless. Practice being homeless. Go look at your homeless brothers and sisters and see what they do. Because whatever the homeless people do, you're going to need to do and get used to it. So Prepping for natural disasters means you have to take into account the entire experience. I picked on hurricanes because that one you can see coming. You can see it coming for 2 weeks. Yeah. And where does it come from? Oh, it comes from Western Africa, that big bulge, the big hump, Western Africa, right? It shoots hurricanes like basketballs. Go take a look at the weather radar, and you see a boom, and it pops one out, and sometimes they never make it to us. But that is the hurricane generator for us, the west coast of Africa. Just saying, But let's come back to time to prep. Hurricanes is one thing. You have no chance for tornadoes. So wherever you live, wherever you work, you better know where the tornado shelter is. And I've been in places in the Midwest that did not have tornado shelters when there were tornadoes. It was scary. It was scary. I was at one. It was a Marriott, south of Atlanta. I'm running away, trying to run away from tornadoes because I could see the green and all the bad signs. I was fortunate to be able to get off the interstate. This was I-95, by the way, before I got to Atlanta. Made it on the off-ramp when the rain, so much rain, I couldn't believe it. I had to stop driving. Ended up making it into the hotel lobby, and I said, there's a tornado, and tornado report is going to hit down, and where's the tornado shelter? And the lady at the receptionist said, it's right there. It was the bar. They did not have a tornado shelter in the Marriott. Yeah, that was scary. But we sat in there and we drank our fill and didn't go to sleep. The next morning we looked out and the tornado had destroyed pretty much what was on the other side of the street. I'm just saying, this is not stuff you mess around with. Lose everything except your life and your family's life. Don't get hung up in things and stuff. So that's tornadoes. Earthquake, you have no chance. You just like tornadoes. It's going to happen when it happens, and you better have preps in your car, preps in your house, and preps at your work. You need to have 3 copies of your preps. 1 to get you home, 1 to you're not getting home, and 1 at home. Work is just mostly first aid because you're probably in a high rise or something. You're not going to have to deliver first aid. So earthquake, tornado, hurricane, flood. Unless you are given a flash flood warning and you live in a flash flood area, you're okay. You just go to high ground. Just to give you an example, where I live in Boise, Idaho, we have a big dam. If that dam ever breaks, we'll probably have 500,000 dead people, and the city of Boise will not even exist anymore. It'll just destroy the city. Destroy meaning erase the city. It will be erased. That's about 600,000 people. Now, that depends on how much warning we would get. How much warning will we get? Well, this particular dam, unless somebody nukes it, we'd have quite a bit of warning because the engineers and everything are really good. There was in 1974, 75, there was a dam break east of here. It was an earthen dam. It had just been completed the day before, and it failed the day after. But the engineers and everything, and this was Army Corps of Engineers, were able to warn everyone. So although humans got out, but thousands and thousands and thousands of livestock died, drowned. But there was warning, so the humans got out. It would probably be the same here. The fact, though, is if there is no warning, from the time the dam would break until the time we're all dead is 12 minutes. That's how fast the water's coming. And you would have to get to high ground, which is 500 feet above ground level here, and that's just up the hill. If you could get there, most old people are going to die. Homeless people are going to die because they need their walkers, and anybody that's in the hospital, all the hospitals are done. There will be no beds here. That's the only thing we worry about, right? Well, we don't worry about it because it's so unlikely. But to come back to the subject, and that is how much time you have to evacuate and what you need to consider when there's a disaster. It's bad. It's bad right now, and it's going to get really bad. And I've talked to people, and they're out of harm's way, and that's good. Let me talk a minute about you all that live in that area, South Carolina, Tennessee, the Appalachians. I've seen a lot of your YouTube videos. I'm glad you guys are safe. But let me say this to you. Stop fucking whining that law enforcement or whoever else is in authority will not let you just on your own go traipsing around the disaster area trying to save people. God bless you that you have those feelings. But there are people that are being paid, and they have the official responsibility for making sure that they go in and do rescues and all that kind of stuff. That's their job. Now, if you want to help, and you do, God bless you because you do, you want to bring your peeps, you want to bring your ATVs, you want to bring the Cajun Navy, all of that, good. But not on your own. I don't care. I mean, there's one guy flying helicopters, man. He's going in and doing LZs and stuff. And you're going, you just, I'm a pilot. I'm a helicopter pilot and a fixed wing pilot. You're not going to just get in an airplane and go start saving people. You have to coordinate with others. Who are those others? Those are the people whose job it is to marshal the resources. You don't want to get in their way. You want to help them, right? Now, if they say, we got everybody, go talk to somebody else, then go do that. But if you go on your own, into a disaster area, the cops don't know if you're a looter. They don't know who you are. You're certainly not from there unless you can show proof. So don't make their job any harder because you feel you need to go in and do something because you don't think they're doing what they need to do. Knock that stuff off, right? If you have experience, and there's some people that have, like I do, I have search and rescue experience, right? I know how to do all that stuff. But I'm not going to go and just jump in my urban assault vehicle and start trying to save people. I'm going to get my peeps if I have a crew, and I'm going to say, hey, let's go talk to the sheriff, or let's go talk to whoever and say, hey, we got peeps, we got these assets. Where do you want us is the question. Let them tell you where they need you. That's what we do here. That's what we do here in Idaho. We coordinate with all the other people, right? And do that too. Don't just show up on your own. I mean, they had, the hurricane that I had to leave, in Florida. There was this woman, that's when the Hum 2 just came out, the Hummer 2. This woman, she out of San Diego. She has a black, brand new Hummer. She's strapped with some kind of Glock, drop down thing. And she's got a bunch of water and stuff. She wants to drive to New Orleans. This was Katrina, right? Well, she's got a little teeny, she can't carry jack. She's not pulling a trailer. Now, there were a couple of people that had hooked up some 18-wheelers. That was good. She was just doing her ego thing. Right? Anyway, stop whining because they won't let you in. Right? Volunteer, take your crew, and go offer yourself. If they say no, then they say no. Right? Take care of your family. Take care of yourself. Take care of your stuff. If you traveled from somewhere else to go there, you might get your feelings hurt because they might say, go away. Now, some of y'all are going to get mad at me. Okay. But there's, come on, use this up here. If you have resources, offer them. But don't demand that they take you. Don't demand that you're going to go off on your own. Right? Because now you're in the way. And you might not even know you're in the way. All right. Well, I finished my couple cups of coffee. I just found out how much caffeine is, how many shots are in a Venti Americano. Holy cow, man. No wonder I'm so messed up in the morning. But listen, I rambled a bit, and I did, because there's a lot going on. I'm hoping that you guys are okay with me rambling this morning, because it was a ramble. Any thoughts you might have, if you disagree, obviously, and some of you do. Good job, y'all. If you like the content, please subscribe. Hit the bell icon so you get reminded. And as always, wherever you can, whenever you can, however you can, carry on.